The 2006 Securitas depot robbery in Tonbridge, England, was the UK's largest cash heist. It began with a kidnapping on the evening of the 21st of February 2006 and ended in the early hours of the 22nd of February, when 7 criminals stole almost £53 million. The gang left behind another £154 million because they did not have the means to transport it. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our true crime stories. Your support means everything. Imagine waking up one morning to find out about the largest cash robbery in British history. Over £53 million stolen in a single night, the entire country in shock, and law enforcement working non-stop to track down the criminals. This was not a movie plot. It was the real-life Securitas depot robbery in February 2006. The Securitas cash depot was located in Tonbridge, Kent. It was one of the most important cash handling centers in the region, responsible for holding and distributing large amounts of money for banks and businesses. At the time of the robbery, the depot was considered secure but had certain vulnerabilities that the criminals exploited. Several individuals played critical roles in the planning and execution of the heist. Colin Dixon, he was the depot manager. The robbers targeted him and his family as part of their plan to gain access to the facility. Lee Murray, often referred to as the mastermind behind the Securitas depot robbery, was a skilled and charismatic mixed martial arts (MMA) fighter. Known for his aggressive fighting style and sharp mind, Murray transitioned from the MMA world into the criminal underworld. His strategic thinking and ability to lead were pivotal in orchestrating the £53 million heist. Paul Allen, like Murray, was also a cage fighter. Known for his physical strength and combat skills, Allen's background in mixed martial arts made him a formidable presence in the criminal world. His experience in fighting, along with his tough and disciplined nature, contributed to his critical role in the execution of the robbery. Emir Heisenai, an insider who worked at the Securitas depot, provided crucial inside information to the gang. He filmed the inside of the depot using a tiny hidden camera fixed to his belt. Heisenaj had arrived illegally in the UK from Albania in 1999 and left 5 years later when his asylum request was refused. He went on to marry an Englishwoman and returned to the UK in January 2005. Stuart Royal, a used car salesman from Langley near Maidstone, already had a reputation for ripping people off. He claimed to have been a former member of the Special Boat Service. However, there is no record of him ever serving in the SBS. Roger Coutts was another key figure involved in the Securitas depot robbery. Known for his willingness to use intimidation, Coutts played a significant role in the heist's execution. He was one of the gang members who actively participated in the kidnapping of depot manager Colin Dixon and his family, a critical aspect of the plan to gain access to the facility. Coutts's background suggested a history of criminal activity, and he was regarded as a trusted and reliable member of the gang. Leah Rusha, a roofer and part-time driver from Tunbridge Wells, he helped control the hostages during the heist. When his home was searched, police discovered a plan of the Securitas depot with his fingerprints, along with a video showing a reconnaissance mission to the home of depot manager Colin Dixon, who was kidnapped before the raid. These pieces of evidence were pivotal in linking Rusha to Britain's largest cash robbery. Jetmir Bukpapa, a Kosovan Albanian, Jetmir Bukpapa became involved in the Securitas depot robbery through his friendship with Leah Rusha. His role in the heist was to organize a reconnaissance of the home of depot manager Colin Dixon. Bukpapa, the son of an engineer and a teacher, moved to Britain 9 years before the raid in search of a better life. He married an Englishwoman he met at a gym and lived in Tonbridge, where he worked as a doorman while also selling cannabis for extra money. Bukpapa met co-offender Heisenaj in a coffee shop. The depot had several security features, including CCTV cameras, locked vaults, and limited access areas. However, the robbers were able to bypass these measures through meticulous planning and the insiders' assistance. The planning of the heist began with the recruitment of a highly skilled team. Lee Murray, known for his resourcefulness, took charge of assembling a group of trusted individuals, each selected for their expertise in specific areas crucial to the operation. Some team members were tasked with logistics, including securing vehicles and creating effective disguises, while others specialized in physical tasks, such as handling weapons and managing the on-ground situation during the robbery. One of the most critical aspects of the planning was surveillance and intelligence gathering. Emir Heisenaj, who worked as an employee at the Securitas depot, became an invaluable asset due to his insider knowledge. He carefully observed daily operations, identified security protocols, and noted vulnerabilities in the system. His insights laid the groundwork for the planning phase. The team conducted detailed surveillance, studying the depot's layout and Colin Dixon's routines. They meticulously identified potential weaknesses in the facility to exploit during the operation. The acquisition of resources was another pivotal element in their preparation. Fake police uniforms were created to help them appear legitimate during the operation. Vehicles were procured and modified to avoid identification. Weapons and other tools were gathered to ensure they could execute the plan efficiently. A detailed timeline was developed to ensure every step of the operation was synchronized. They planned to minimize risks and maximize the chances of success. The strategy included kidnapping Colin Dixon and using him to gain access to the depot. Contingency plans were created in case any part of the plan failed. The robbery began with the abduction of Colin Dixon, the depot manager, and his family. On the night of February 21, 2006, the criminals intercepted Dixon's car while he was on his way home. Disguised as police officers, they stopped him and forced him into a vehicle. At the same time, other members of the gang went to Dixon's house and abducted his wife and young son. The family was held hostage to ensure Dixon's full cooperation during the robbery. Early on February 22nd, the robbers brought Dixon to the Securitas depot. Under threat, he was forced to let the criminals inside. Once inside, the gang tied up and restrained 14 employees who were on duty at the time. They used threats to keep the employees compliant and prevent any alarms from being raised. The robbers moved quickly to access the vaults containing vast amounts of cash. The heist was highly organized, and the gang worked efficiently to load the money into their vehicles. They managed to steal approximately 53 million pounds in cash, weighing several tons. The entire operation inside the depot lasted only a few hours, but the gang remained calm and focused throughout. After loading the cash, the gang left the depot without causing harm to the hostages. They used multiple vehicles and pre-planned routes to avoid immediate detection by law enforcement. After the robbery, Securitas employees quickly contacted the police once they were freed. Law enforcement agencies immediately launched one of the largest investigations in UK history. A crime scene investigation team arrived at the depot to gather evidence, including CCTV footage, fingerprints, and DNA samples. The police began interviewing the employees and Colin Dixon to piece together the sequence of events. The news of the robbery spread rapidly, capturing public attention due to the staggering amount of money stolen. Headlines described the heist as the biggest cash robbery in British history. The public was shocked by the brazenness and precision of the crime. The police faced significant challenges in identifying and locating the gang members. However, several critical leads began to emerge. The robbers left behind some of the vehicles used in the heist, which forensic experts examined for clues. CCTV footage from the depot and nearby areas provided images of the gang members and their movements. Emir Heisenaj's role as an insider was uncovered through investigative work, leading to his arrest. Despite their careful planning, the robbers made several critical errors that aided the investigation. Some members of the gang spent large amounts of cash conspicuously, drawing attention to themselves. Items left behind at the crime scene, such as DNA evidence, linked individuals to the robbery. As evidence accumulated, the police identified several individuals involved in the robbery. The investigation was extensive and involved multiple law enforcement agencies. Lee Murray, as the mastermind, was a primary target of the investigation. His connections to the crime were uncovered through phone records and financial activity. Evidence, including DNA and witness statements, linked Paul Allen and other accomplices to the heist. Emir Heisenaj's role as an insider was pivotal, and his arrest led to further breakthroughs in the case. The operation to apprehend the suspects extended beyond the UK. Murray fled to Morocco, a country with no extradition treaty with the UK. Despite this, he was eventually arrested by Moroccan authorities and, in 2010, was sentenced to 25 years in prison by a Moroccan court. Paul Allen, after an initial trial where the jury couldn't reach a verdict, later pleaded guilty to charges related to the robbery and received an 18-year sentence, serving 6 years before being released. Emir Heisenaj, the insider at the depot, was sentenced to 20 years in prison, with a minimum term of 10 years. Jetmir Buspapa, Roger Coutts, Stuart Royal, and Leah Rusha were all found guilty and received life sentences, with a minimum of 15 years to serve. The suspects faced overwhelming evidence during their trials, which led to these significant sentences. Despite the significant sentences handed down, a substantial portion of the stolen £53 million remains unrecovered. Authorities managed to recover approximately £21 million, leaving around £32 million unaccounted for. The rest is believed to have been hidden or spent by the gang. The missing funds remain one of the enduring mysteries of the case. Theories about the missing money are as varied as they are intriguing. Some believe the cash was smuggled abroad shortly after the robbery, hidden in offshore accounts, or invested in assets like real estate. Others suggest it was divided among the gang and hidden in secure locations, possibly in rural or remote areas, where it could remain undiscovered for decades. While the police arrested and prosecuted most of the gang, there are individuals connected to the crime who remain at large or whose involvement has never been fully confirmed. Currently, Murray remains imprisoned in Morocco. His original 10-year sentence was extended to 25 years following an appeal by Moroccan authorities. Known as the mastermind of the heist, Murray's life behind bars has been far from ordinary, with reports suggesting he still commands attention as a high-profile inmate. Speculation persists about whether Murray still holds knowledge about the whereabouts of the missing money, but nothing has been proven. Once a rising star in mixed martial arts, Lee Murray could have been a UFC superstar, but instead, his life took a drastically different turn. Paul Allen served his sentence and was released in recent years. Since his release, he has kept a low profile and little is known about his current activities. Some sources claim he has tried to distance himself from the criminal underworld, while others suggest he remains under surveillance by authorities. Emir Heisenaj, the insider who provided critical information for the heist, completed his sentence and has reportedly returned to private life. Several other individuals involved in the heist have also completed their sentences, but their lives post-release have been varied. Some have returned to criminal activities and faced new charges, while others appear to have faded into obscurity. For many, the infamy of their involvement in such a massive robbery continues to follow them. The Securitas depot robbery is one of the most daring crimes in British history. It shows how clever organized criminals can be and reminds us of the hard work law enforcement puts into catching them. It also highlighted the need to deal with insider threats and improve security measures.